Welcome to another stream from Virtual General Aviation Aviator. I am Frank and I am your pilot in command. Today I am in the Pilatus PC6 Porter, and I am going to take a flight from Idaho Falls. That's where I'm at now, the Idaho Falls Airport in Idaho. I bet you couldn't guess what state. Anyway, I'm in Idaho Falls and I am going to fly to Copper Basin of all the places. So, the reason that I'm flying up there is because they've got a mine shaft, and I got a couple folks who actually want to check out the mine shaft and try to some do some um, copper mining of all things. And in reality, I don't even know if you can copper mine at Copper Basin, but we're gonna try. All right, so let's get in the cockpit, and we've already. Well, let's do a quick walk around here. Let's see. Do a quick walk around and make sure that the aircraft looks airworthy. We will do our detail our real walk around offline. I'm not going to hold you up while we check every little individual piece, but just to do a quick cursory look, looking at our tires, our props, our wing lights, making sure that I don't see anything that look funky, anything that's going to bring us down, and she looks good. As you can see, it just came out of the paint shop not too long ago. So we got some fresh paint on it. One thing I like about Thranda's products is that we can change paint jobs or make the paint look brand new, a brand old, but this kind of would give you an idea of what the PC6 looked like when it was brand new and maybe straight out of the off the assembly line. This one does have the Tundra tires and mud flaps. All right, so she looks good, and we are rearing to go. Now, as with most aircraft, she wants to fly, so we won't hold her back. All right, so let's do our get in here and make sure that our settings look good. Engine is realistic when the reflections are on, panel reflections on, all covers and tires, doors are shut. And let's open some doors here so that we can uh, so that we can let our passengers get in. And let's just see what it look like with doors open. Yeah, so passenger, okay, so this is our front doors for the pilot. So I'm already in, so I can actually shut my door. It's December, so I don't need to have the door cracked for to get an airflow. And let's just open these side doors. So reason why these I got these big windows on here because I also use this aircraft sometimes as as a skydiver um, climber. Uh, so yeah. All right. So let's get them in, and of course there's me at um, at 170, and get this other guy in to 200. His wife, and she's 170 also, and his one of his friends, guy I just met, super nice guy. So let's get him in. And he too is a really big guy. And of course, they going mining, so gotta have some um, some gear. So we put most of the gear in the back seat. That actually helps with the weight and balance on these aircraft. And so they got 25 plus 10, 15. So what is that? 40 pounds of gear. All right. And that's what I'm hauling today. Okay, don't need to touch the cameras, don't need to touch the audio. Well, I am going to turn the master up and make sure that my interior and exterior sounds are not blasting. Okay, and the panel that you see in this guy, it was designed by me. Let's get those doors shut. Let's see. So let's shut these doors. That's on the general tab. All right, so let's get that one shut. And let's get that one shut. And and so we got our passengers loaded. So the only thing we need to do now is do our checks and get out of here. Now there are two ways that I can get this guy started. I can go through a checklist. Um, I think I got a C list or a checklist installed for this aircraft, but I'm not going to do that. I've flown this aircraft enough times, hopefully, to be able to get it started and get it started safely without having to go through a checklist, and that'll save us a lot of time. Um, now, and again, this is a custom panel that I actually put in this aircraft, and lo and behold, I have been really enjoying it. Okay, so let's check out brakes. We always want to start with that, and brakes are set. And let's look at our fuel. Make sure our fuel flow is open, and it is, so we're good to go there. We can turn our master on, and this is our master switch here. And get at two um, positions. Put it on battery. Uh-oh. And let's abort here because we've got some stuff on. Our turbine shouldn't be turning until we actually want them to. So let's make sure all this good stuff is turned off. Usually the turbines don't start when I pop that master switch on. Okay, so let's try it again. Master. And why are my turbines turning? That's a good question. Let's see now what the devil. This would happen when I decide to stream. If I was just doing a regular video, then it wouldn't happen. But I got my starter. I got all this off, and so it shouldn't start. I shouldn't be able to give it any fuel, and I can't. Because this turbine shouldn't start until I turn the starter on. One thing about these Thranda aircraft is that they have so much going on that sometimes a data ref will pop, will get, it will pop a data ref into the wrong place, or something happens, and the aircraft will act unexpectedly. But we're just going to ignore that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and engage our fuel pump, and starter can come on, and now our turbines should start to turn, um, and we should get 20, over 12% on our NG up there, which is this guy here. And we can introduce fuel. We're not going to get anything unless we turn our igniter on. And there we go. So ITT has maxed and come down. And so I'd say we got a good start. Unfeather it. And she should start to wind up. There we go. Ignition can come off, starter can come off, and fuel pump can come off. All right. Alternator can come on. And avionics can come on. Now, as you can hear her, she's pretty loud. Let me go ahead and put the headphones on so that I don't have to yell at you guys. Now, there's a quick button here that's kind of hidden, but this allows me to put headphones on. And there we go. Now, I'm looking at this generator failure light, and that guy should come off. So apparently our starter is staying on, even though it's our starter data ref that's on. Even though, and if you're not familiar with X-Plane, they use the term data reference to different systems in behind the scenes in the programming in this aircraft, but I can't turn off my starter, and the only way to fix that would be to probably reload the aircraft, and I don't want to do that because the reload takes about 5 minutes. Takes about 5 minutes because I have to reapply the custom livery that I got on the aircraft also. But anyway, so we're going to ignore this guy here. They're old pilots and they're bold pilots, and right now I'm just going to be a bold pilot, even though there are no old bold pilots. Okay, so I need to put some fuel in this guy, and let me call the fuel truck, because right now I got 10.6 gallons in it, or 5.3 gallons per tank, and I don't think I need 4 tanks. So let me just dial that down. We'll put 65 in each tank. And yeah, so we're good with that. All right, you see our fuel indicators gauges have come up, and I guess I failed to mention the dog is in the back seat. I'm sure you can hear him. Hold on, guys. Let me let the dog out, and I will be right back. Turns out he actually does not want to go out. What he really wants is to play with me. And this is just, actually he wants me to walk him. He knows it's a beautiful day in my location. The weather is just great. Anyway, where was I? So I think I may have been talking about this generator light, or I may have just put fuel in. I think it was the fuel. Okay, so I'm filled up, and I got my headphones on, and let's see, tighten up my seat belts. So now I should do a little quick passenger brief. Okay, guys, what we are going to do is climb up to about 11,000 feet flying westward, because the plan is to leave Idaho Falls and um, follow I-20 over to this point here. Now, when I get here, I'm actually gonna need to be at 11,000 feet, or 11,700, more closer to 12,000 feet. Uh, the reason is it says for security reasons of national security, pilots are requested to avoid flight at or below 6,000 MSL in this area. Now, I guess I originally read that wrong. I said 11,000 um, feet, and I guess anything above 6,000 feet is good. But when I originally read it, I was thinking the 6,000 AGL above the terrain, but MSL is mean sea level. So as long as I'm at above 6,000 feet, then I'm good. So we're flying westward, and if you fly west, then you want to fly with a even number. East is odd, so I can fly at 4, 6, 8,000 feet for this aircraft, or 10 or 12. And since I'm flying VFR, then I need to fly on an odd number, which means I need to fly at something 500. So I'm going to fly west, and I'm going to initially choose 6,000. And since I'm VFR, I'm going to fly at 500. So I'm going to fly at 6,500 or 6,500 feet. And so I am going to continue to follow the highway into Arco Butte. Where's my highway? Did I lose my highway? Okay, yeah, so I guess I continue to take this highway into Argo Butte. Now, once I get to this airport here, then I'm gonna shift northward and fly, follow the highway to, the highway to this point, and then try to find this river. I think what river is this? This is the Big Lost River, and then follow the Big Lost River into Copper Basin over these 12,000 foot peaks, and try to find a way into Copper Basin, which I probably have to go up like this and then come back to land, depending on the orientation of the highway. Now, I've never made this flight before, so let me just get rid of these marks here. I've never made this flight before, so I don't know exactly how successful I am going to be able to use pilotage to look out the window and try to keep my bearings. But we're gonna try it and see what happens. All right, so that's the brief, and I am not really going to use the radio, but I can go ahead and turn the transponder on, and I really should get the weather here at Idaho Falls. The weather, and I'm looking at the iPad, ATIS is 135.32. So let's go 135. And pop that in. And I really should be getting the weather now. Let's try it this way just to make sure that that it doesn't have a different frequency than I thought. Waypoint info, frequencies 13532, and flip it. Still no weather. I think that too has to do with the way it loaded, and I think to fix all this stuff, I really would have to reload, but that's okay. I've got real weather. I got FS Global real weather installed, and I can actually use that. And FS Global real weather says the winds are calm. Visibility is 34 nautical miles. Temperature is 30 degrees Fahrenheit or -1 degree Celsius. Altimeter is 3039, and winds are calm. So, with that said, we can just pick a runway, and I think I'm going to use this really short one at this airfield. Let's see. Now let's get up here and look at this. Get out of the cockpit here and look at this. So I've got this really short. So how did I get up here? Okay, I got this really short runway, relatively speaking, right here beside GA, and then there's a longer, maybe an 8,000 foot runway, that's more for the airliners that come into Idaho Falls. So yeah, we're gonna use this little short one, and based on where we are actually gonna use 3.5. Okay, so let's get in our flaps. We want 28 degrees of flaps. Don't need that fuel pump, and we're not going to use the everything's going to be hand flown. So I don't think I'm going to use the autopilot, even though I do have one at my disposal. And let's get back to our map, and let's get started. Let's see. I'll tell you what we should have did while we were looking at the waypoint information. We should have went on and dialed in our frequency for tower and ground. Okay, so ground is 121.7, and tower is 118.5. Okay. And let's do it. Idaho ground, Pilatus Porter 633 Papa Whiskey is at GA, ready to taxi. Taxi to hold short runway 35, Pilatus 633 Papa Whiskey. Okay, so 3039 was our altimeter setting. Let's make sure we got that set 3039, and yep, that's where we are. Okay, so we are good. All right, so let's get these brakes turned off, which is this guy here. This is our brakes. And let's give it some throttle. And we are taxiing. Let's do a brake check. Both brakes, right brake, left brake. All right, let's clear, make sure that we don't have anything that we're gonna hit when we do our turn. And we're gonna turn to the left here. Try not to ground loop on the ground. That's really easy to do. And let's see, how are we gonna get on to this taxiway? Let's pop out. And we see that this is our taxiway here. Once we cross this solid dotted line here, and we are officially in a movement area, and we'll be controlled by ground. Okay. No fanfare in doing that. All right. You saw those 28 degrees of flaps in. I'm not generally a guy who do a lot of flying from outside the aircraft. So most of my flying will be from this cockpit. But we picked a beautiful day to fly, so we will be able to sightsee during this flight. Okay, one thing I did not check when I started the aircraft and when I started taxiing was my lights. I don't think I have any lights on. I think I got distracted because of the technical issues that I'm having. So let me turn these are my lights here. Let me turn my beacon on. And let me turn my landing lights on. And right now my landing lights are stowed up into the wings, and I need to get them down. I don't have a keyboard command tied to it, so I have to use the button. All right, and since I'm only going to pull one down, which is my left one, and now you can see this light on. Okay. All right. So let's tune the tower. I don't see anything coming in to land, so they should give us clearance straight out. And I'm not going to do a run-up because I don't know the run-up procedures by heart. But I do recall, I don't think it's very much to the run-up in this aircraft. Idaho Falls Tower, Pilatus 633 Papa Whiskey is holding at runway 35, ready to depart to the west. Clear for takeoff, runway 35, 633 Papa Whiskey. All right, so we've been cleared for takeoff. All right, so our strobe lights can come on. Double check our compass. Condition level goes to 4, and we are crossing over onto the runway, and we check our seat belts, line up, and get wheels up. Okay, so we want 6,500. All right, 3-5, we're lined up. Power goes to takeoff. We'll rotate at 60. Rotate. And we are up. I also did not set my trim, so I'm having to get that set now. Okay, and my trim is set, and we'll climb out. We could climb out at 1,200, but we'll just hold this 1,000 foot climb. Okay, and then let's go ahead and make our turn to the west, which is going to be a left turn. And we'll look for Interstate 20. Now, I do see an interstate just below me. Actually, it may not be 20. I'm back into my iPad, and I overturned there, so let's turn back a little bit. Yep, this does say I-20. Just didn't look like an interstate because the highway looks joined, and we're just about at altitude, at our cruising altitude. So I believe that that's our highway just below us. You'll see traffic on it. Kind of blew through our chosen altitude a little bit. There's another highway in their highway over here also. And then that one looks like it's curving around. Yeah, so this is the only highway that I look like I have that's going in the direction that I want it to go. And not only that, but then that looked like it's turning back north and going here. So let's pop this guy out some. I'm not really doing a good job at holding my altitude because I'm not scanning like I would, like I should. Um, so let's see if we can't do better. Get back up to our cruise altitude. And so now we're at 6,005. Now I am using Pilatus, and I'm trying to follow I-20. I've never done this flight before, but when I glance down at my iPad, then I'm up here and I-20 is there and way to the left of me. And according to the iPad, I should be directly over the highway well, it's just inconsistent. So either I'm over the wrong highway, which I don't even see on the iPad, or the the things just ain't lining up. I'm going to assume that things just not lining up and go ahead and fly with the highway that I have on the screen and assume that that is 20 down now. And again, I am way over my I'm way over my altitude. Get it out. All right. So now once you see scenes like this, you can appreciate why so much of our produce comes from Idaho, because I am seeing a lot of farmland. You guys bear with me. I do have a slight speech impediment that I try to deal with. I can think one word and say another. I don't know what that's called. Okay, so I can get rid of these flaps that's holding me back. I don't know if you had noticed, but I kept trying to add power to speed up, but I wasn't speeding up to where I thought I should be going. Okay, so I'm running out of highway, or so maybe I see this line here. Maybe that's the highway that I'm really looking for. And if so, that would be more consistent with what's on the iPad. And so I believe it is. Yep, this is I-20. That's what happens when you don't trust your instruments. But if it's any consolation, and it is to me, it's easier to see out in real life what stuff look like than it is out of the sim. Plus, turning your head to look around using this hat switch is cumbersome and slow. It ain't like I can glance over there. Like, I can turn my head relatively fast. Okay, so I got my interstate. And this one is consistent with what's on the iPad. I guess I should show you. So here's my interstate, and here's my aircraft. So I think we finally got what we want. Now I can concentrate on holding my altitude. For IFR flying, then you shouldn't deviate from your assigned altitude any more than 100 feet up or below, or a total swing of 200 feet. And right now I'm 150 feet above my chosen altitude. No altitudes have been assigned because this is VFR and I didn't ask for flight following, so I don't have anybody fussing at me about not being at my assigned altitude. Nobody's saying descend and maintain. Of course, if I was IFR, I'd probably use the autopilot to help me hold altitudes for that very reason. All right, so now that we are on track, we can actually kind of relax and look out the window a little bit more. Of course, there's nothing to see. And I'm going to have to pause for a second. And hold on, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. And distractions. Okay. So you notice that I flew a little bit more than I should have with my flaps on, and that's because I'm not using checklists. That's why it is so important in the real world to make sure that you actually use those checklists, even though it may seem that you've done something 1,000 times. Um, a lot of what causes pilots to have bad days is a string of small mistakes that adds up to something catastrophic. Okay, so enough lecturing. And so now that we are above, we're inside we're crossing over into the area where we are asked to to stay at least 5,000 feet above 6,000 feet AGL, then we want to make sure that we try to comply. So I'm pretty sure that this is 20 over here, and there's another road that we picked up that we're directly over top of, and I'm not sure what that road is. I'm 500 feet above my desired altitude, and the reason why I want to be stay at stay at 6,500 feet is because those guys who are on, if there's somebody out there who's on a low altitude IFR plan, flight plan flying east, um, then they would be at 7,000 feet. So I don't want to be at 7,000 feet because I want to be able to miss those guys, and technically we would have a 500 feet buffer between us. So that's kind of why it's so important to keep an eye on your altitude. Now, what do I have up front here? Look like some civilization, and there should be an airport down there somewhere. Not sure where the airport is at, but this should be Arco Butte. And this is where I am going to leave 20 and turn to the north. This may be the road to the north here that I want to take. Hey, Alpha Diaz, how are you, my friend? Or that may not have been Butte. Let's see. We are still hanging with the airport. Now, see another populated area up here. Great. Glad you stopped by, man. Welcome, welcome. I have been in this flight maybe a half an hour or so, and I am flying from Idaho Falls to Copper Basin in Idaho, and I'm actually flying a route that I've never flown before. Trying to use pilotage and VFR flying. So maybe I get there. Brazil, cool. That's so you are a true Southerner from where I'm at. I'm technically I'm in North Carolina, um, which is I want to think it's almost due north of Brazil. It's amazing how the internet can bring people together and make this world so much smaller. Okay, so to be honest with you guys, I am cheating. I should be using pilotage, but I'm also doing a lot of glancing at my at my iPad to keep me on course. So I guess you could say that's a little bit of a cheat, but in reality, a good pilot would use all available data, all available information to make his flights. How's the weather in Brazil? All right, so I'm crossing over a river that should be the Big Lost River. There's the river below me, the Big Lost River. All right, so let's find this highway again. There it is. Do some banking here. So I'm looking at the iPad and I am really kind of lost. You see what looks like I'm going over crossing the highway. So this is the highway that I want to be following. So I guess I need to bank back to the right here. And that should get me going in the right direction. And the place that I thought was Arco Butte uh, was not even close to it. All right, so now I got this road off to my left there, and that's the guy that I'm following. So, Alpha how's the weather in Brazil? And we should be getting closer to these peaks. Now, bear in mind, Copper Basin is surrounded by 10 to 12,000 foot peaks. Well, almost 12,000 foot peaks. And the airport itself is at almost 8,000 feet. But I'm not quite ready to climb yet. Let's see if I can't add some detail to this map here. Let's see what I get. I wish I could overlay roads a little bit better. Make that so you guys can see it a little better. And what's cool is flying X-plane at night and finding a cop car on the highway, and lo and behold, not being able to keep up with it. There's a truck and a car. Look like they're gonna in the same lane. All right, so I'm gonna switch the size of the highway, and well, I guess I should have enough altitude to keep it safely on my left here. Okay, so maybe I might be close enough to see Butte Airport, Butte County Airport. Yep, there it is right here. I can see the runway. I can see the buildings. So this is where we where we're going to make our turn to the north and go off in this direction. Okay, fuel flow looks fine. Still got over half a tank. I don't think the flight was only about 100 miles from Idaho Falls. So, and since we're following the interstate, then we probably would be about in half an hour faster so far than we would be if we had been driving. I'm assuming the speed limit on this interstate out in Idaho and all these flat lands ought to be about 85 miles per hour. All right, so I'm gonna make this turn to the north here. Still with the highway. And when the highway veers off, which it's just doing now, we are going to stay with the northern part. And now we can kind of gradually start our climb. You can see the terrain changing. In this map here, what's in red means that the ground is actually higher than the airplane. So if I were to fly here at this altitude, I would fly into a mountain, which would cause me to have a bad day. All right, so I'm gonna give it a little throttle here and go ahead and let it pick up some altitude. I'm only doing a 300 foot per minute climb. I'm gonna trim it up just a little. Well, I'm gonna lift my nose and then retrim. Say that's about 700 there. So let's trim for the 700. Okay, so you see this valley here? This is where I want to go. I want to stay in this valley. And again, I'm getting this information from my iPad. So you can see that valley there. And I want to come down this way into, I think that's, yeah. So I'm going to pass over this airport here and come down into Copper Basin here. So so at this point, I feel like I can't go wrong. Okay, I'm at 8,000. So I am streaming on Twitch. Of course, I will play this video back on YouTube. Sometimes I stream directly from Twitch and upload the video to YouTube for archival purposes and so to be there for enjoyment. And sometimes I will do a live stream directly on YouTube. Today is Twitch. So, and I try to switch them up from time to time. So maybe the next stream that I do will be directly on YouTube. All right, so let's level off here at 8,500. And let's look at our map to see what altitudes we're going to need to safely get down to Copper Basin, which is here. So once I get to the reservoir, which is, I can tell it's going to be unmistakable, that's when I'm going to make my left turn down into Copper Basin. Or actually, I'm going to go just north of it and grab either this road or a river. Let's see, it looked like it may be a road. And follow that road down to Copper Basin. The road, the peaks around here are at 94. This peak here is 85. This peak here, with this dot at, is 94. So I'm trying to determine if 85 would be a good altitude to get in here safely. And to be honest with you, I think it might be. I think I might be okay at 85. But once we get there, we'll play it by ear. If I feel like I'm too low, then I'll pick up the altitude as needed. One thing that I'm looking to see is making sure that there are no box canyons that I'm going to wind up in. That would be too high to climb above and too narrow to turn around if I couldn't climb above. Okay, so our next landmark is the reservoir, McKay Reservoir. Hey, as Leon Nail 771, I think you are a bot, so there's probably no need to speak to you. Let's see if we can't get anything better on our GPS there. We can see that our airport is directly up in front of us. Let's say we might even be able to see it. Probably just a little gravel or dirt strip. And there it is right here. Can be tough to see right here, but it's there. All right, cruise check. Everything look like it's in the green, except for that generator failure light, and there's nothing I could do about that without restarting the sim, which is something that I didn't want to do. I was also not able to get any ADAS. All right, so let's look and see what the temperature is outside. In this location, it is about 22 degrees. Don't have any clouds, so I don't really need PTOT heat on, but I'm going to turn it on anyway. Should see that strip right here now. Don't have to really strain to see it anymore. All right, let's turn our PTOT heat on. Okay, PTOT heat, and it's on. Not a lot of fanfare turning it on, right? Now, there's this river here, or some river or tributary that cuts between these mountains, or come off these mountains, that's really close to Copper Basin, but that would have required that I go over these hills. And I don't want to go over these hills. I want to stay in the valley, so to speak. Sound like a gospel song, staying in the valley. All right, there is that little strip here beside it that's consistent with what I got on the GPS. Man, can you imagine living here? Let's see, Idaho. I'm thinking they get a lot of cold, extreme weather in this neck of the woods. Okay, so here's my reservoir that I was talking about. It's finally in sight. So I want to get just north of that reservoir. In fact, there's a gap here, and I think that's the gap that we want to take. I believe, unless there's a gap sooner, we'll keep our eyes open for it. And there's a road that goes through that gap that we want to follow. Pilatus, that's what this is called. Just a little bit of throttle to keep from losing altitude. So I've got it trimmed, but I'm making micro adjustments using the throttle. Salty Crew 2003. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Glad you stopped by, my friend. I really am. So I'm doing a flight from Idaho Falls, Idaho to Copper Basin, and I'm just about there. Let's see. So you can see my track, and it's all been pretty much VFR and hand flying. I have been trying to follow highways for the most part, but to be honest with you, I did have to rely on ForeFlight a couple of times to get me back on track. So, how are you today, my friend? Yeah, ForeFlight is great too. It it really really is. It's an amazing tool, and relative to some of the avionics that go into aircraft, it is extremely affordable. You stop to think that these Garmin systems can cost thousands of dollars, and you can get relatively the same information. I am good. I am good. You can get relatively the same information directly from ForeFlight on your iPad. It's amazing. So I am getting fairly close to my destination. I believe my destination is somewhere over this mountain range. Um, and I think the path that I am going to need to take is to follow, let's see, I think I'm going to continue to follow this highway and take this one through this pass and take it on over and land at Copper, let's see, I called it Copper Ridge. Uh, you know what, guys? I just looked at my ForeFlight app, and I'm sailing right on by the road to Copper Ridge. So this is Copper Ridge here, and looks like I'm going to the wrong airport, so I'm going to do a UE here and see if I can't get back, see if I can't find the road that I missed, which actually may take me up over mountains. I'm thinking I can get there at 8,500, but like I said, I may need to climb to get there. Now, I see a road here, so that may be the road that I want. And just glancing down at my iPad, it's really hard to tell. Let's see, I don't see the road on this side, so it's gotta be this road here. And I'm gonna give it some throttle and start a climb because it looks like I am gonna need to go up. $200 subscription. Yep, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. I think I've got the $100 subscription, and if I was a real world pilot, then I would definitely have a subscription that that could give me a little bit more information. Now, see what I'm following, and I think the road that I want is actually over to my left, over to my right here, on my other left, my right. So let's look down and see if we see any roads at all. And it's entirely possible that the road that's on the ForeFlight app may not be modeled actually in the sim. That's entirely possible. Yeah, he's absolutely right. It is in in a great tool. So you're a student pilot, huh? What are you training in, or are you trying to get a IFR rating? So at this point, I am kind of using ForeFlight as my guidance, but I'm also looking very hard to see if I see a road. And I'm at 10,000, which is as high as I want to go. My field is at roughly at 8,000. I think it's at 7,900. And I should be able to see my airport pretty much in the down here somewhere. Actually, it should just be a landing strip, and I don't quite see it yet. There's okay, there's the road. So the road does exist. It is modeled. It's just that um, for whatever reason I couldn't see it. I guess it should be modeled when I come to when I really think about it, because I think the AutoGen uses a real world map overlay. Cool. I took flying lessons. I'm not a real world pilot, um, but I am a formal student pilot, and I had about 14 hours. I was probably within 2 hours of soloing when when I stopped flying. I stopped because I ran out of time. I had a retail store at that time, and I just kept putting off taking that next lesson and never did finish. Let's see. So I'm looking for my strip. I never did finish, but yeah, good luck, and I'm sure that you will love that solo. That's um, that's really a milestone. Okay, so I got something over here. Could that be my airport? Could that be my strip? I can't see how it couldn't be, because I should be close enough to see what I want to land in. Um, let's see. Uh, oh, there it is. There it is. Unmistakable now. Okay, so let's power back, drop those flaps, and in IRL, it would be important to overfly this airport to make sure that there's nothing in there that would impede a good landing, um, especially if you've never been to it. And you know, see glumps, lights, gas, lights, undercarriage mixture, props, and I'm in a turbo, so glumps don't entirely apply. Let's see, I'm at 60 knots, so I'm going to speed up a little. Well, 60 is a good speed to hold. Don't want to really get any slower. Well, thank you. I wouldn't say all that, especially on this landing. Man, I forgot to lock my tail wheel, so let's get that locked. But as with anything, ooh, I'm not stable. So in real life, this would be a definitely go around. But since this is a sim, I think I'm gonna plop it down here, four flaps, and okay, and we are down. And lo and behold, I did not tail loop it. Well, thank you. And I agree wholeheartedly. Professionalism is the key to becoming a good pilot, and as equally important, realizing that that there's still a lot to learn, no matter how many years you've been flying. Um, I'm in some of these flight forums, and I get these guys who, just based on the way they talk in the forum, sounds like they know it all. And then I get other guys who've been flying for for years that has a lot more experience in the real world than I have, and I can say something, and it's thank you, nicely done. And I can say something, and they genuinely sound like they can actually learn from something that I say. So yeah, a good pilot is always learning. Um, 'Cause I definitely, um, I it you know on one hand, I want to feel like maybe I get back out and finish up my lessons, and at least um, be able to go up and on pretty days like this and fly. But in reality, um, I don't quite have the budget, so I don't know. Let's get everything shut down so fuel pump comes off. Let's turn our avionics off. Since we got a master, alternator can come off. And I'm using slim lights, switches, lean, master, and max. And let me feather it so it will go ahead and turn off so that proper stop. Okay. On this particular aircraft, that prop will continue to spin unless it's feathered. So we have successfully made it to Copper Basin, and my friends can get their gear out and go mining for copper. Good luck with that. So, Salty Crew 2003, do you do any streaming? And I wish you the best too, my friend. I really do appreciate you stopping by. If you do any streaming, then I'll look you up and try to join some of your streams. In fact, I can do that now. So I see you just look like you just joined on October 2020. Um, okay, okay. Well, anyway, stop by anytime you see me on, and I am going to go out and do help my friend who's a model railroader put some new track in, and that's what I'm gonna do with the rest of this day. So I appreciate you stopping in, and until next time, um, ciao. Thanks. Bye bye.